Hey, Cancer, welcome to April. So, Cancer, you have had the planet Mars hanging out in your sign for a really long time now. So, Mars is the planet of motivation, of action. It's written as a symbol for men. It's the ruler of the sign Aries and the original ruler of the sign Scorpio. So, we know it has a lot of power when it's involved with these two signs. Now, Cancer, it's been like retrograding back and forth in your sign. So Mars is said to not do as well, not function as well in the sign of Cancer because Cancer, you kind of like things slow moving, flowing, nurturing, and Mars is too busy for that, just wants to go. Okay, so we've been feeling, some people have been feeling stagnant lately, or like we just can't get ahead or get out of our own way these days. And some of that has been due to Mars's placement. Now, thank goodness its retrograde ended at the end of February, but Mars is still in the sign of Cancer and it will be there until April 18th. I think it's been about 6 months by the time we get to April 18th that Mars has been hanging out in your sign. And Mars doesn't usually stay that long. It's usually like more like 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, than it is 6 months. So there's going to be some relief for you, okay? If you think about it, you were dealing with Pluto opposite you in the sign of Capricorn from 2008 till November of 2024. So you had been dealing with the intensity of Pluto all that time in an opposition. So one side wants something, the other side wants something. Pluto is the planet of transformation and change. It's death and rebirth. So even though, it does rule rebirth and it has positive energy to it, it's intense and it can be exhausting after a while, especially you later degree Cancers, the ones that were born closer to the end of the sign, closer later in July. Okay, so you guys are feeling the Pluto opposition. Some of you really late degree Cancers, the ones that were born close to being a Leo, you guys are really feeling the opposition with Pluto still. Even though it's in the sign of Aquarius, it's still considered in opposition to you. So I think you're going to start to feel a little better as, Pluto starts to move on and Mars goes into the fire sign of Leo, which is going to give you some relief, and you probably will start feeling like yourself again. Now, take advantage, whenever planets are in other water signs, they make a trine with you, Cancer. So a trine is a positive aspect. It's a triangle. And everybody who takes an astrology class wants to have the triangle relationship between planets, okay, the aspects. And so you have this trine, this positive aspect still going on with the planets in the sign of Pisces. So we still have Mercury hanging out there, Venus and Saturn. So enjoy the beautiful trine there, creative energy. It's a good time for, art projects and creativity, especially projects that you are looking to like make a career out of, okay? Those things are really prime for you right now. Now, you do make a square with the planets that are hanging out in Aries, and squares are the tougher positions, okay? They're like the 90-degree angles. So we have the sun going into Aries this month, or we have it already there. We have Neptune entering Aries at the end of March. So there's going to be some squares. So Cancer, the moon will be in your sign at the beginning of the month. So we like to see where the moon is. We know it changes signs every 2.5 days. Now the moon is your ruling planet, Cancer. So it's interesting. I think it's really interesting how Leo and Cancer, Leo is ruled by the sun, Cancer is ruled by the moon. I always thought that was kind of interesting in astrology. So you're highly affected by the moon's movement in general. Which, they say I'm a Cancer rising, and I definitely always aligned with the fact that they say Cancers are really moody, and that it's really important for Cancers to follow a moon calendar, because when we feel overwhelmed in emotions, it's relieving to know that the moon only stays in a sign for 2.5 days approximately, so we will feel better. So you may, as a Cancer, want to follow a moon calendar, and not so that, some people say, oh, you're setting yourself up for failure if you know that you feel lousy during some moon stages, but I just kind of like to be aware of it because then I plan things for the days and I know that I feel my best. And I take into account when I know, because I've tracked it for a while, that I might be more tired or might feel a little more emotional and want to take some quiet times. Okay, so you can either get an app about following the moon cycle. I use like this witch's date book, but whatever works for you, okay? So the moon will be in the sign of Cancer starting on April 3rd, Thursday at 6:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then it stays there Friday and Saturday and into early morning of Sunday, 12:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that will be a power time for you, Cancer. We know that Mars is in Cancer, so the moon will also be close to Mars. Action, right? So maybe you take some loving action towards yourself. Maybe you get some extra rest on those days. Maybe those are the days that you do something wonderful for yourself. Now, let's go into the month here. And what I did was I picked a few cards, I haven't looked at them yet, to represent your theme for the month, okay? So we're going to put a couple cards here on this stand. And the first card that came up from the Herb Crafters Tarot is the Seven of Fire, Cinnamon. Okay, so Seven of Wands, which is usually when there's like a lot of things coming at the person. There's a lot of wands, or I like to say there's a lot of irons in the fire. There's the fire in the background. She's working with some spice. She's working with cinnamon. It looks like she has some symbol of her ancestors there. And let's see what the book has to say about, because I love this deck so much, and I don't always use the books that come with the tarot decks. I don't always find them helpful, but this one from the Herb Crafters, and this is the Herb Crafters here. We have this in stock, and I have to tell you, it is one of my favorite decks. I use it a lot in my own practice. Not as much with clients because I don't have all the herbs memorized, but I think I'm going to work on that so I can use it more. Now, Seven of Fire, Cinnamon, it says, answer the call of the ancients, seek vision from ancestors, take a stand for your whole authentic self. And so let's see here. Cinnamon has been crushed for cinnamon tea. Ancestral traditions remind us of who we are. This says, I can't pronounce this. Té de canela is a remedy of Mexican grandmothers. Your personal power has roots in your own cultural heritage. So learn the history, take the medicine, eat the food of your people. I like that. All right, so take pride in where you came from. Stand up for who you are. That's pretty lovely. All right, let's see what your next card is here from the Animal Totem. You got the Six of Swords. This is a flying squirrel. Six of Swords is about moving forward, and swords is thought. Six is a number of forward movement. And we've got this flying squirrel, and I got to tell you, the first time I saw a flying squirrel, I didn't even know there were such things as flying squirrels. I thought they were like leaping to their death. It's amazing. I guess they don't really fly, they glide, but they sure look like they're flying. And so we've got something here about being true to who you are, to your ancestors, kind of being your unique self. Maybe you're capable of a lot more than meets the eye, okay? And here is the Ten of Wands, and this is about, well, it's really about putting down a burden, because Ten of Wands, she's carrying a heavy load there, right? She's heading up this path. And it's almost like to enlightenment up there. So some kind of burden needs to be put down. There's some respect here for who you are, being your unique self, maybe putting down the burden of trying to be something you're not. I'm giving you a Beltane card from the Seasons of the Witch Beltane Oracle because there's, this is Beltane month, so we got to use it while we can. Remember, Beltane is that pagan tradition, pagan celebration of fertility, and it was celebration of the god and goddess, or the green man and the goddess. I forget exactly the terms, but it's rites of fertility, and we are in spring, and we celebrate it through eggs and bunnies. Now let's see what we've got here. You've got the B card. BEE, and it says, don't drink all of life from one flower, for there are many to taste and many to explore. That's pretty cool. Don't drink all of life from one flower, for there are many to taste and many to explore. Okay, so it's reminding you to kind of almost change up your habits a little bit, socialize a little bit more. And, you know, the cinnamon started you off adding a little spice, and now you get a little sweetness there. So I'm going to push these cards to the back. These are going to be your theme cards for the month, okay? And now what we're going to do is we're going to put a card onto each house of the zodiac wheel, and we're going to talk in detail about what you need to know regarding a lot of the major themes of your life that show up in the zodiac houses. So let's see what we have for you. Okay, we're starting off with the house number 1, Aries house. This is the house of your childhood. This is the house of I am. So you come into the world, this is who you are, the baby's born. And so when we have activity in the first house, we know that we're going through like rebranding, new identity, ideas of who we are, forward motion, right? Because Aries is cardinal fire sign, so it pushes forward spring. And you have the 6 of Pentacles here. Now there's a financial transaction going on. It looks like he is asking her for something there. There's like a gentle vibe to this. And so there's some kind of transaction, okay? It almost felt like he was asking her to marry him, which, you know, is basically, it was property ownership not that many years ago, right? So we see some kind of financial transaction moving forward, and one that has something to do with your public image, or something that has to do with defining who you are. Now, as we move into the second house, this is Taurus's house. This is often called the house of money, or I like to call it the house of value. And you've got the 9 of air here, pomegranate. So this is traditionally the 9 of swords. We know that there's a lot of overthinking when the 9 of swords comes in, because it's kind of like worrying about all the things that could happen. Although we have this pomegranate kind of cut open so we can see the insides. The book says, no love, no grief. Claim your underworld crown. You are the sky and everything else is the weather. A quote from Pema Chodron. Am I saying her name right? I think she's like, isn't she practice Buddhism? So she says, you are the sky, everything else is the weather. I like that. So let go of what you cannot control. Pomegranate is the tree that leads to Demeter's agonizing loss in the Greek myth. Her daughter Persephone consumes the seeds and seals her fate as queen of the underworld. As a hike through the desert will prove, pain is one path to wisdom. Whenever heartache enters your life, do not turn away, the prophet Khalil Gibran says. The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Do not hurry your grief. Pomegranate must be harvested at just the right time. It will not ripen off the tree. You will live through shattering experiences and still stand proud. When you are ready, quench the thirst of guilt, regret, and worry. Invite in forgiveness. Okay, so this is in the house of your self-value. And so there's something there about forgiving yourself, understanding the whole picture, okay? And also, if there's been some financial troubles, there looks like they're moving into new territory regarding finances. So forgive yourself. Now, third house is Gemini's house of communication. It's how you think. It has a lot to do with the people around you, your environment. And you have the 7 of swords. And I don't know what kind of little groundhog he is, but he's kind of popping up there, right? He's popped up out of the blue. He's been tunneling around, and here he is. 7 of swords, usually a card about kind of sneaking around. But this is like, there's been a lot going on under the ground, and then here he is, he shows up. You may have some people showing up in your environment. You may have some pests because this could be considered a pest, popping up, showing up, okay? So stand your ground. Now, the fourth house is the house of the home. It's your root chakra. It's how you nurture yourself. It's your home, Cancer. It's ruled by the moon. And we have the page of Athams, or the page of swords there. And so she's got her book out. She's got her sword. The sword is the mind. She's practicing her craft. It's a full moon. And so here you are, alert, taking control of the situation, learning new things that may bring you some comfort. Okay, so maybe you're learning more how to deal with your finances. Maybe you're learning more about how to stand up for yourself. Maybe you're learning more about not hiding your true self, right? We started off with like spicy cinnamon and this interesting flying squirrel and putting down a burden and showing up and appreciating the sweetness of your life. And I get that you're just learning how to do that, so go easy on yourself. The fifth house is a house of fun. It's Leo's house. It's a creative house. It's a house of romance. It's the house of children because they have so much joy. And you've got the awakening card here from the Herb Crafter's Tarot. This is Tulsi. This is holy basil. That's actually worshipped in India. This is the judgment card traditionally, and it's called awakening. So we know the judgment card is about laying some old things to rest, rising up from it. And there's a sense of revitalizing because we have such a revitalizing plant showing up there. So whatever you've been going through, whether that be financial troubles or just having trouble expressing yourself or speaking your piece, we see that you're being revitalized in the heart, because it's Leo. Leo is the heart chakra. Tulsi is a wonderful plant. It's in a lot of teas. You might see holy basil listed or Tulsi, and it's all about, I think of it as like adrenal health and getting your energy up and out. It's the kind of thing that you can drink at night because it's not too overstimulating, but you can also drink it during the day. So you have Tulsi in your fifth house, and fifth house is the house of fun. It's the house of joy. And you've got this revitalizing plant here, Tulsi, holy basil. So you're being able to I see your energy being lifted up and out. It's like you've been through some pain, you've been through some worry. You're really stepping up and trying to help yourself. Tulsi's a great plant for you. It's the kind of plant that, like, if you drink Tulsi, holy basil tea, at night, it's not going to keep you awake. But if you drink it during the day, it's going to give you a nice, even keel energy. Okay, so check with your naturopath if you need to. But Tulsi is a pretty commonly used plant in tea. You might want to give it a try and revitalize yourself so that you can show up and have a really good time. Now, the sixth house is Virgo's house of work and routines and health. It's like your mental health, I think, a lot of the sixth house, and it's about your contribution to society. And you have the 10 of Wands showing up. Now, this is the second time you've had the 10 of Wands show up. Remember, it showed up here in your cards of the month. So here's two different versions, artist versions of this card. Now, this one, she's got a baby in her front pack. And she looks like she's got some papers rolled up. She's got some plans. She's on the move. Nothing's going to stop her, right? Even the baby, she's got it wrapped. She can do this. She's moving forward. So you might be making some decisions. You might have to put down some burdens to take care of your health. You may need to, I feel like she reminds me of the hermit just carrying a baby. And instead of a staff, she's got the wand. And so the hermit walks his path of truth. I feel like you're walking your path of truth, and it may be a little bit of a heaviness right now because, it's not easy. She's got a baby with her. She's carrying a lot, but she's not going to be stopped. She could really use some Tulsi tea. Okay. So thinking about the burdens that need to be put down. And I think a lot of it is the thoughts that you're thinking about yourself. Now, as you go into the seventh house, this is the house of relationships. This is the house of legal matters. It's a Venus house, and the moon shows up. And you're a Cancer, and you're ruled by the moon. And you've got an owl in the background. And that was, didn't we have another owl? Yeah, we had an owl here in the fourth house up in the background. Another owl here. And so there's a lot of wisdom there. There's a lot of emotional pull. Okay, so, and this is the moon pulls on people, right? In astrology, the moon's associated to advertising because it pulls on people's emotions. So you're pulling in the relationships that you need, and you also have the wisdom there to trust your feelings. Now, the eighth house is Scorpio's house. We call it the house of taxes, sex, and death. Okay, it's an intense house. It also rules joint finances, combined monies, other people's monies, inheritances. I think of it as a house of power. And we have the Two of Swords there. So, Two of Swords is kind of when you step back and away and you listen to your thoughts and you contemplate them and you feel. Okay, so we already had that in like a connotation of that in the house of relationships that you need to trust feeling. And here you are in the eighth house, just stepping back and considering it. Scorpio, this is Scorpio's house. Scorpio likes to step away because it can pick up so much of other people's energy. So there's asking you to step back a little bit, make sure you get the rest that you need. The ninth house is Sagittarius's house. It's a house of the higher mind. It's kind of a philosophical house. It has to do with religion, organized religion, or the opposite, spirituality and connecting yourself. It's a house of teaching and publishing, and it's a house of foreign travel. And the Empress showed up. Now, this is your third major arcana that showed up. So the majors are the real life lessons. And you had one in the fifth house with awakening Tulsi. You had one in the seventh house with the moon. And now you have the lovely Empress here in the ninth house. And she looks like she's almost ready to give birth. So there's some new energy, new projects coming in. Maybe you're planning a trip. It's getting closer. Lovely to see the Empress there. She's Venus. She's related to the sign Taurus, and we know we'll be in Taurus season before we know it by the end of the month. Now, the 10th house is Capricorn's house. It's the house of your career, your reputation. It has to do with receiving an award. It's a house of fame. I think of it as your house of your long-term standing in this world. It's like your family and your lineage and your like last name. Here's the Chariot. So you got another major arcana up at the top. So I think like these two are raining down over the top. The Chariot ruled by the moon. This is a Cancer card in your 10th house. So that's a good sign there for you. The Chariot is any vehicle moving forward. In this deck, it's the cedar plant. It says move forward with confidence, be disciplined yet flexible in your pursuits, embody the journey. Let's see. Cedar is both a spiritual vessel used in sacred ceremony and a literal vessel when it is used for making canoes. It's strong and flexible. It travels between the worlds of heaven and earth. Bring the knowledge of spirit and soul into your body, just as a cedar trunk contains the stories of the earth. Have faith. Interesting. Okay, so have faith. Whatever's going on in your career, we see forward movement. We almost see the connection with the divine and the connection with the earth. And so there's some good things going on for you there in your house of your career. Now, your house of your friends, social life, hopes, goals. This is Aquarius's house of newness, okay? New ideas, new technology. You have the Miser card here. And this is from Osho Zen Tarot. I use this more as an oracle than I do as a tarot deck. The Miser. So the moment you become miserly, you are close to the basic phenomenon of life, expansion, sharing. The moment you start clinging to things, you have missed the target. You have missed because things are not the target. Your innermost being is the target. Not a beautiful house, not a beautiful you, not much money, but a rich you, not many things, but an open being available to millions of things. So it says this woman has created a fortress around herself and she is clinging to all the possessions she thinks are her treasures. In fact, she has accumulated so much stuff with which to adorn herself, including feathers and furs of living creatures, that she has made herself ugly in the effort. The card challenges us to look at what we are clinging to and what we feel we possess that is so valuable it needs to be protected by a fortress. It needn't be a big bank balance or a box full of jewels. It could be something as simple as sharing our time with a friend or taking the risk of expressing our love to another. Like a well that is sealed up and becomes stagnant from disease, our treasures become tarnished and worthless if we refuse to share them. Interesting that it referenced friends in there when this is the house of friends. It could be something as simple as sharing our time with a friend, right? So we don't want to become too stagnant there, not letting people in or holding on too much. And we want to be able to share. It's interesting. Maybe almost like clutching on too tight, okay? Now, the 12th house is Pisces house. It's the house of secrets. It's the house of retreating back and away. It's the house, they call it the house of the self-undoing or the undoing in Old English, because it's a lot of times when people were really unhealthy, the 12th house would represent when they do themselves in, right? That's why it's associated with drugs and alcohol. But this can also be the house of undoing those kind of behaviors. Because remember, anytime we say something rules one thing, it also rules the exact opposite. So this could be undoing the old ways, the bad habits, the behaviors, and showing up and breaking old karma, okay? You have the Ace of Cups here, the cup of satisfaction. Although it does have some alcohol reference to it, keeping in mind that this is the house of alcohol. This card is also often referenced towards sexual energy. So we want to make sure that we're checking in, that we're not trying to escape our feelings, because there's some tendency here to like hold on or want to escape. There's some old pain showing up, but it's really ready to be surfaced up and out. It's showing me that you need to take a little time to step back and away to consider your feelings and all the things you're kind of picking up in your environment. You're ready to put a few things down, and some of it has themes of holding back or not giving, not showing up in relationships, or showing up for the wrong reasons, for the wrong pursuits of happiness, okay? You do at the top of the wheel have the Empress and the Chariot, which are both major arcanas, so that's really lovely to see that kind of, coming down off the top of the chart across the whole thing. We call that midheaven in astrology. I'm going to put one card in the middle to represent how you're going to feel this month. And I got the Wheel of Fortune, and it's the kitchen garden. So we're kind of going to be excited to be able to start working with some plants this month as the weather gets warmer. This is Sagittarius's card, the Wheel of Fortune. And so we know things are going to start getting moving, and there's a beauty to it. There's a simple beauty. We know all these herbs are such a great way for us to take in like vitamin C and nutrients. They say fresh herbs are like one of the best ways to just kind of top our food with freshness and keep ourselves healthy and vibrant, okay? So make sure that you're using enough of these herbs, right? Using them not just because they look pretty on a dish, but they actually keep us bright, right? I've always been under the assumption that like vegetables add brightness to us, right? And so as we take in their nutrients, and this is just simple, so much of what we need in a small little garden area. So looking into working with Tulsi this month, looking into working with some of the kitchen garden herbs, going easy on yourself, being kind to yourself. It looks like you're going to feel good because it's a wheel moving forward, okay? And it's Sagittarius energy, and I do think that you're going to be in the midst of planning some trip here too. Let's roll you some dice. And you got Mars in Virgo in the second house. Okay, so Mars is the planet of action. We started off talking about Mars, how it's been hanging out in your sign for a long time now. And you got it in the sign of Virgo. So Mars, the planet of action, in the analytical sign of Virgo in the second house of value. So I would take some action looking at your finances. I would take some action looking at how you speak to yourself and the things that you say to yourself about yourself. That's a big thing here. You're ready for that to clear out. You're starting to understand your value more. And I think this is a good thing. You're still in the early stages, so do not beat yourself up. I'll throw a few charms over this. It's always kind of fun to throw the charms because they can kind of land everywhere. Kind of feels good to throw them. Okay. So let's see what we've got here. So CRES, and this could be a T, crest. And then the word rest, we use that with a T. We have, let's see, DRESS, dress, and an X down here. We got the word fly that landed on the 9 of air pomegranate, fly. So it's almost like you're going to fly away from that thinking. Got a little postcard here on top of the 10 of wands in your 6th house, almost like a letter to yourself. That's a good, I like to do that a lot, write things down for myself, maybe burn it to get rid of the feelings that I was feeling. What else do we have? Okay, so we have a lot of, I see the word Dell, D-E-L, or D-E-L-L. We have the word cell, C-E-L-L. The word fly is interesting because I kept feeling that you were making a trip. And so if you see anything else here, I've got an S, D, O, L, 2 L's, 2 E's. I got a blank one. C-R, an S, an X down here. Is Excel? Excel? Yeah, Excel. Okay, Excels. All right, so be kind and gentle to yourself this month, Cancer. Let's see some power days for you. So you rolled the planet Mars. Mars rules the sign Aries, but we also know it's the original ruler of Scorpio. You also rolled Virgo and Taurus. So we start off the month with the moon in Taurus on April 1st. So it's there just until 4:26 p.m. So you get April Fools as one of your power days. Then you rolled the sign, as I said, Taurus, and then you have Virgo. So the moon will be in Virgo starting on Tuesday the 8th at 9:40 a.m. into the 9th, into the 10th until 9:12 p.m. These are power times for you. You also get the dates of Sunday the 13th, which is Palm Sunday, at 9:54 a.m. through the 14th and through the 15th till 10:37 p.m. And then I think you get a couple more days at the end of the month. Yes, because the moon moves into Aries on the 25th at 3:24 a.m. So you get that whole weekend. And then the moon goes right back into Taurus. So you get the 25th from 3:24 a.m., the 26th, the 27th, into the 28th and 29th until 2:34 a.m. So you got a lot of power days this month. Be well, Cancer. Take good care of yourself.